When people ask me, what is the best real estate investing strategy? I tell them it's the owner finance strategy. And I'm going to explain to you why in just a minute. My name is Mitch Stephen, and I've been buying houses with other people's money and then selling them to my buyers with owner financing for over 2 decades. I've made and created over 2,000 seller finance notes, and I've been living off that income for years and years and years. I'm going to show you how I make offers on houses based on the owner finance formula of establishing what I can sell a house for if I owner finance it. It's completely different than other forms of comps or appraisal values. The owner finance value is a value unto itself, and we're trying to make it so that the person that's paying the rent across the street can obviously afford to make the payment on my house just across the street from them because it's the same payment. The only separator is, do they have a down payment and do I like them? And that's how I seller finance my houses. I do about 100 houses a year, and I seller finance about 65 to 70% of those houses. So I've been through the gamut on how to do this, and you're going to be very interested to see how I establish the owner finance value, and then to understand how durable that value is, even when values all around that value are collapsing. I may not have invented much in my life, but I think I did invent the moniker the O.F.V. As you, as investors, know, there's the ARV, which is the after repaired value. We've all heard that for years and years and years. There's the MAO, which is the maximum allowable offer, but I don't think you may have ever heard the O.F.V. until I came up with it, the owner finance value. And now I'm going to show you a formula of how you establish the O.F.V. First, you find out what the rents are in the neighborhood. It's not too hard to do. In fact, we can even use apartments as comps or rental houses. It's actually easier to find rental comps than it is to find sales comps. The formula reads like this. You take the rents, you subtract the monthly taxes, you subtract the monthly insurance costs, then you multiply by 115, and then you add 12% on top, and that equals the owner finance value. So let's use some real numbers now. Now I'm going to read from some notes here so I get these numbers accurate from you. Let's say the rent is $1,500 and the monthly property tax assessment costs you $150 a month and the insurance for that house is $75 a month. So if you take $1,500 and subtract $225, you come up with $1,275. You multiply that times 115. Now what does the 115 represent? It's a multiplier that represents 30 years and 10%. The other thing you could do is you could take $1,275 as a payment and you could put in 10% as the interest rate and you could put 30 years as the term and you could solve for the balance. Or you could just multiply $1,275 by 115 and we're going to come up real close to a number that looks like $146,000. Again, if you take $1,500 minus $225 for taxes and insurance, you're left with $1,275 for this person who's been paying rent. That's what they have left for a principal and interest payment. So if that's how much they have to make the payment, how much can they borrow at 10% for 30 years and have a payment of $1,275? We can get there easily by multiplying $1,275 by 115. You'll come up with, they can afford to borrow $146,600. So if they can borrow $146,600, what does that make the sales price of the house? Well, we're going to add 12% on top of that for a down payment. I usually require a minimum of 10% down, but I never do anything at minimum. So if the minimum down payment is 10%, I'd like to try to get 12% down. So we're going to add 12% on top of $146,600, and that makes the owner finance value of this property $164,200, or in my world, that is $165,000. In my world, we always round off, and we always round off in my favor because it's my world. That's the owner finance value of this property. based on the rents. And you have to understand, this owner finance value is not a broker's professional opinion. It's not a current market analysis from a realtor. It's not MAI appraised value of the property. All those values came from comps, from houses that sold to someone who could write a check or someone who could get a new loan from a bank or a mortgage company. The person I'm dealing with cannot write a check for this house, and he cannot get a new loan from a bank or a mortgage company because of a lot of different reasons, not just his credit. He may have perfect credit, but he may not have 2 years on the job. He may have perfect credit, but he may not even be from this country and have his green card yet or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. And that's all I'm trying to offer to someone who can't get an institutional loan, is they can move into a house just like the one they're in, just right down the street or right across the street, and the monthly payment's the same. The only separator is, do they have a down payment of 10% or more? And do I feel like they're worthy of buying my house? And do I think I'm going to get my payments from them? And do I think they're going to take care of the house? And that's it. So that's why I like the seller financing strategy, and that's my formula, so that you can back into the rents to establish an owner financed value. Now, if you like these kind of theories and you like this kind of conversation, why don't you be sure to check out my book, My Life in 1,000 Houses, The Art of Owner Financing. You can go to 1000houses.com, check the tab that says Mitch's Books, and then select this book right here. There's 3 of them. And this is My Life in 1,000 Houses, The Art of Owner Financing. I describe all my strategies about owner financing in here, and that formula is in here. Now, just as a side tidbit, if the property needs rehab, then you're going to have to take the owner finance value and subtract the rehab amount, or in some cases, you could only subtract half the rehab amount. It depends on if the person that's moving in plans on doing the work themselves, or if they're going to hire someone to do the work. If you can establish that the person moving in the house is going to do the work themselves, then you can just take the O.F.V and subtract half of the rehab, because they're only going to need money for materials because they're going to do the work themselves. If they're going to pay someone to do the repairs, then you have to subtract 100% of the repairs from the O.F.V, because they're going to pay a contractor who's going to charge them for both the labor and the materials. So that's the only differences. All right, I'd like to thank you for taking the time. If you're still with me in this episode, that means we've got your attention. Please stay with us, click the subscribe button, and do us a favor and hit the like button as well. We'll see you at the next episode.